All right. Hey, look at that. September 1st. I finally got the date correct. I know a lot of people are giving me a little bit of grief on my video a few days ago on the 30th about how I did not know that there was 31 days in August. But now we've right-sized the ship. Come on, guys. It's been a long week, and it's going to get that much more longer because guess what? We got another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. I'm going to put you guys to work. There's a lot of coins to find out there. We also have a newly discovered Denver minted 2020 quarter with a error that you normally see on the Philadelphia strikes. So what gives? We're going to talk about it today in this video. The market seems very strong. I sound like a broken record, and I even sound more like a broken record because I keep saying that I sound like a broken record every time I bring that up. But it's the truth, man. And lady, we are heading into the fall season. And as we know, the market definitely picks up. If not for possibly seeing prices rise, we're going to see just a very active numismatic market between now and the end of the year. And that's usually the case. That's the norm. Don't be surprised if you have difficulty finding some of these coin rolls and other different types of sources to obtain just bank rolls of coin. You're going to have a little bit more difficulty finding these. Some are reporting that there is indeed a coin shortage, which I firmly believe it's more of a supply and distribution issue and not so much the amount of coins that's out there. There's not nearly enough workers to get the coins around. So, expect to be no change whatsoever going through the holidays. I think a lot of retailers and the banking sector are going to continue to see struggles, especially in certain states where they have allowed just insane unemployment benefits. But yeah, we're not gonna deep dive into that. The market is going strong. People are going to be sourcing just bank boxes, whether to flip as a bank box on eBay. We've seen that in the past at about 3 times face. But more so just to go through to look for the errors and varieties that you're going to see on our video today. So all the coins are raw, as you would expect. We don't talk about graded coins in this video because obviously the big idea is to find them, flip them, or add them to your collection. Whatever floats your boat, I suppose. And you look for these coins, going through change, going through these bank rolls, or on the collectible side, going to coin shops or coin shows and simply just cherry picking some really neat varieties and errors that have gone unnoticed by the dealers that are selling them. So you buy them, you sell them, or you add them to your collection and call it good. All right, so what do we have this week? September 1st, I mean, it's kind of like a tipping point in the market. Every time we get to this specific date, things begin to get kind of interesting. Starting with this 1969D Lincoln Memorial cent that is off-center by approximately 60%. It's got that full date and mint mark. You guys know my stance on how these are being collected today in the market. People are looking for these with a full date and mint mark. And the more off-center they are, the more wild and the more expensive that they will get. For this particular example, not too bad. I've seen quite a few 69Ds here in the last 6 to 12 months. So it's not particularly a hard date to find. You will have to pay up a little bit compared to some of the more recent dates. This one, 6 bids combined, totaled $26.52. I want to also let you guys know that the prices I'm giving you also include the seller's shipping fees. All right, so whatever that may be, it could be $1, could be $3, could be $10, whatever. I don't think anything on here was anything over like $4, so that's the good news. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and kick it off with a really nice off-center coin. Now here's one, obviously, that's going to be a great cherry pick right out of your change or those coin rolls. But we have a 1999p Roosevelt dime that features a little bit of light clashing. You could see the clashing area of the olive leaf right here under the ear. And then you also have some of that clashing here in front of Roosevelt's face. Those are typically two of the areas on the coin where you're going to see clashing the best. You do see it on the reverse, but it looks like, based off of what I'm seeing in this image, the reverse die was probably replaced at some point, because I don't see any remnants of any clash anywhere on that reverse. It's a relatively clean coin. But it seems like a relatively minor die clash. This one did sell for $20. So, yeah, I mean, I would certainly trade a marginally okay error for a $20 bill. I mean, all day long. But that just gives you an idea of how active the market is today, and that there are emerging groups of folks that are buying their favorite errors, and they're either collecting it by date or they're just collecting as many as they can. We really don't know the overall collecting motives of some folks. All we do know is they're willing to shell out the bucks. $20 for this one just seems like a strong amount of money. It's also worth mentioning there's a little bit of a misaligned die right here on the obverse. You can see just a much thicker rim here, and it's thinner here. I mean, it's quite minor, so but that's not the real reason why this one sold for $20. All right, so this one's pretty cool. This is exactly what a current generation post-1982 copper-coated zinc cent would look like if it was missing the copper plating. This is a missing copper plating Lincoln. So even when it's struck on a complete zinc planchet sans the copper plating, you are still going to get luster. And that's exactly what you see here on this example. You can see just the luster on there. It's a silvery disc is what it's going to look like. It's not going to look like anything like its copper coated coin brethren. But pretty cool coin. This one surprised the heck out of me as far as its final price that it sold for. 24 bids combined. There was a lot of action on this one, and it sold for $66.33. Now this one I'm sure a lot of you have passed over. I know I have over the years, but we have a 1985D Roosevelt dime. Not my particularly favorite decade to collect for sure, because there's just not nearly as much interesting coins of the 80s. But look out for this one. It looks weakly struck, and more appropriately, the reverse looked like it was struck through a little bit of grease. You can see that this part of the rim here is nearly missing, and it goes into United States. And then you see a little bit of weakness on the obverse. So again, it's a rather minor struck through, but it did sell for $4.75. So that's a pretty good little chunk of change for a dime that is just semi-interesting. But, pull them out. They're worth a few bucks. Here's another Roosevelt dime. The pictures are not that great. I think head on, because this is a 1960 and it's 90% silver. It does look like it's a little bit washed out as far as its appearance on these images. But what we see here is a lamination error on the obverse of the coin. I think you can best see it from this vantage point, a little bit of a 3/4 turn there. But you can see that it's retained and it's slightly lifted up, so you can see the darkness under there. Like I've said before, look through even your scrap silver. I'm sure a lot of my viewers have just these hoards of 90% silver that just sits around, but believe it or not, it's kind of a hotbed of minor errors like this. This one right here, through 5 bids, sold for $10.45, which is about 5 times what the silver value is. So that's not too bad there. Our first error lot of the video is going to be this trio right here, and they're all different denominations, which we don't see that often, but we have a Lincoln Memorial cent, we have a Roosevelt dime, and then a modern copper nickel clad quarter. They all have some sort of error going on. They all have full dates, and again, that's a huge plus. I always tell folks, if you could buy a lot and buy it affordably, you could always go and turn around and sell these on singular coin basis and make some money that way. All right, so usually with lots, you do sell at a discount, almost like a bulk deal. But the Lincoln cent right here has a date of 72D. The quarter is a 74. It is slightly misaligned as far as the die is concerned. The reverse looks good. And finally, this dime right here is a 1977. So, yeah, pretty decent lot right here. The coins in themselves through 18 bids sold for $36, where I think, you know, the Lincoln Cent will probably end up recouping about 20 to 25 bucks of that money. I'd say this is okay. It's not a lights out type of listing where you can make like double your money or anything like that. I think this one's awfully close. If anything, you're probably buying this just to add a few marquee kind of errors with full dates to your collection. So yeah, not too bad. 36 bucks here. Now this looks like just a metal blank that you see pop out of a Home Depot conduit box or something like that. But this is indeed a blank to a certain coin. Now, what could it be? Well, I can tell you this right now. It's a Type 2, so it does have the upset rim. It's most notable here on the right side of both the obverse and the reverse of the planchet. But this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is actually a blank that goes to a Susan B. Anthony dollar, out of all things. I talked about this, I think, once on my last video, these obscure kind of denominations for blanks are quite tough to find, and they always command a pretty strong market. If you're able to find one, you could generally sell them for a good deal of money. This one right here, through 3 bids, sold for $28, which is not too bad. It's not quite Eisenhower dollar blank planchet good, but it's pretty decent. And then we also have a lot of them. There is actually a seller on here that that is well represented in this week's PCMR. Hallenbeck Coins had sold a number of listings, and probably half of the list today is all stuff from his site. So if you have time, go ahead and check out his site. He lists a ton of coins, and they're all the good stuff. If you're looking for some sort of inspiration, and I'm not around to provide you a pocket change market report, he's one of the guys that I would say are a strong go-to just to see what's out there in the market. But we have a set of 5 like bell-to-bell denominations. You got the penny, nickel, dime, quarter, and half dollar blank planchets, and they're all the Type 2 with the upset rims on them. This is actually the front or one side of the planchets. Here's the other side. You can just kind of tell there's a few extra nicks on a few of these that'll differentiate one photo to another, and you know, that's what you would use. Yeah, this one sold for a good chunk of money. 19 bids altogether, and it realized $115.50. Wow, that's a lot of money for this one. But you know, when you're talking about some of the blanks you don't see that often, like the half dollars, that generally will make up a lot of the value. The Lincoln Cent blanks grow on trees. I got like a handful of those here in my possession. They're not worth a whole lot, a buck or two, if that. But yeah, the half dollar and probably quarter blank planchets are the ones that are carrying the load of the value for this lot. Here's a error that you don't see that often, mostly because of the denomination and type of coin it is. You don't see off-center struck coins on Kennedy's that much, but we have a 1979 that is off-center by a really small amount, like 10%-ish, somewhere around there. But it's the coin is in really nice shape, all right? There's really nothing that, you know, you usually see like a scratch or something on here. But this one is just really clean, and a really good listing here, 27 bids altogether, and this one sold for $88.56. This is one of those type of coins that if you're able to find like at a coin shop, and sometimes you'll come across a dealer that doesn't quite specialize in error coins or varieties, so they'll price them at kind of a discount. Like you can walk into a coin shop, and I've seen this on a few occasions. They'll have these for like $30 or $40. You know, that's really a good deal considering that this one sold for $88.56. But you got to know your error types and how rare they are to a certain series. Again, Kennedy half dollars, we don't see broad strikes and off-center strikes all that often. And because of that, the market responds favorably to any singular coin that has been listed. People just want these because there's just not a lot of them out there. All right, here's another Hellenbeck coins listing. We have a 1954D Jefferson nickel, and boy, it's got quite the strike through on the reverse. There was probably a big old goo of grease along with a bunch of like metal shavings and all sorts of other crud mixed in there, and it was probably hardened quite a bit for it to be quite this deep there. But it's not damage. So I just want to lay that out there. It's not damage because if a coin did take this significant of a hit, you would see the push through on the obverse of the coin. You just don't see it. So with strike throughs, they are all retained in that striking chamber, and it doesn't push through to the obverse of the coin or vice versa. Let's see, this one right here through 12 bids sold for $18.95, which is a pretty decent amount of money for a well-circulated strike through. Here's Buffalo Nickel, 1937. It appears to be a Philadelphia, but we do have a quite nice lamination peel on the reverse, so that, you know, it's not retained anymore, but it's a nice good area or swath on there. The coin is in actually decent shape. Another thing to also mention, it's got a little bit of a clip. It's not quite curved, but it is very shallow right there. But this one, through 11 bids, completed, sold for $42, which is a really nice amount of money. Laminations are quite common on Buffalo Nickels because they've had just a flurry of annealing issues during its time. So anything from the 20s and 30s and into the earlier dates of the Jefferson Nickel series, you know, this is going to be kind of like your sweet spot of possible laminations. Sometimes they're attractive, like this one, and then sometimes they're distracting, especially on a semi-key date coin. You just don't want to see this kind of error. It is kind of like the low man on the totem pole on the error scale. So I'm glad to see this one sell for a good deal of money otherwise. Another Hellenbeck auction. We've had, you know, the last like 5 or 6 that you've looked at so far are all from that same seller, but we have a lot of 4 Lincoln wheat cents are all in pretty nice shape, but they all have one thing in common, is that they all have some sort of strike throughs on them. So the 36 has a strike through right here on Lincoln's head. Let's say you got hit with a rock or something. The 39D has a little bit of a strike through in front of his face. The 42S is right here over Liberty and into his like hair and ear area. And then this one right here, you'll more than likely miss if you don't look at it carefully. The 44D has a strike through right on his chrome dome, right here above his ear. So again, these are all produced with some sort of foreign material that is on the planchet, that had fallen onto the planchet, the blank, before it was ever struck. So the process is quick and smooth, and oftentimes, you know, an employee won't see this happen. Of course, through the wear and tear of these mint presses, stuff falls off of them all the time. From metal shavings to, you know, little wood chips, you know, from their cleaning supplies, that sort of thing. And they always seem to end up on the coins. Which I'm not complaining. I like finding these. This lot of 4 right here, 15 bids total, by the way, sold for $41.77. Some more scrap silver considerations for you. I mean, this is a common date, Morgan, 1921. Millions of them were produced, and I'm glad to announce that there are quite a few errors to look for. Here's another one right here. If you look close enough, we have some attached lamination areas here, and then right here, it looks like it detached a little bit, and then into the L in pluribus. So it's got little spots of lamination. Some would argue that this is nothing really special enough to try and flip to make a measurable amount of money. But let's say if these were being sold on the secondary market as just scrap junk Morgan dollars, they're right around $25, $26 today. This particular coin, through 7 bids, sold for $39, which is not too bad. So you'll make a $10 bill out of this one. It's really up to the discretion of the owner of those type of coins to decide if it's worth selling. You know, $10 bill is not too bad. $2 or $3, probably not as good. Another Hellenbeck coin. We have a 1902 Liberty Head nickel. This time it's got quite a nice reverse lamination that had fallen off, and it was quite big. I had, I guess, showcased one of these a few weeks back that had a much more involved lamination, detached lamination area on the reverse as well. It's a decent shape. You do have letters of Liberty right on Liberty's headdress or crown area, which is always nice. That would probably put this one around VF20 grade-wise, and nothing higher than that. This particular coin, through 16 bids, sold for $52, and that's what we're looking at for these types. If I'm not mistaken, this might be our first piece of currency. So our paper money that we have here is a $1 bill. It's a 1969 series, but go ahead and take a close look at the serial numbers and you'll see what's going on here. One of the numbers is mismatched. So the second number in the string of serials, by the way, the serial numbers, both pairs or both types or sets, are supposed to be matching. So this has a mismatch. This 8 and then this 7 right here is what you're looking at. More than likely, you're not going to find stuff like this on the much newer notes, but it doesn't hurt to look. Your best bet is $2 bills. So 1976 series, which are still being handed out at the banks, are going to be your best bet for mismatched serials. More than likely, a lot of these older notes, there's just not a lot of them to look through direct from the bank. But I would even check newer notes just in case, because, you know, people screw up all the time. And that's just the good old calling of life, is that we all make mistakes, and this is all human element game right here when we're producing our currency and coinage. There's bound to be things going on. I mean, just take our coinage. It's a hot mess right now. 2020, the mints were vastly understaffed, and then we began to see quality take a dump. So you just never know through all this. We have an undated Lincoln Memorial cent. You guys know what this is. This one is struck through a later stage die cap, or cap die, however you want to call it. Pretty nice. A decent coin here. It's got a little bit of carbon spotting in certain areas, especially on the reverse. It's more noticeable, and then the obverse right here at the top of the coin. But that's what a struck through cap die looks like. And these will pop up in change when you least expect it. Some will say, yeah, that thing's damaged. But to the trained eye, that's exactly what this is. As long as one side of the coin is sharply struck, more than likely the reverse, and then the obverse will look like this, pretty weak, and looks like it was dipped in acid. But you can't have both types, both strikes on here if it's an acid dipped coin. Where'd we end up at? 10 bids altogether, $24.39 is what this one sold for on eBay. Oh, and by the way, all the sales on eBay are from the last 24 to 36 hours. All right, here we go. 2020 Denver American Samoa quarter. For the first time ever, we have an error that we normally see on a Philadelphia coin, now on a Denver. And the fact that this is the first one that I've seen can only mean one thing. That there wasn't a whole lot of them that were produced. But you can't really tell what we're looking at here from these images. But yeah, we got some feeder finger scrapes right here. The seller of this coin actually gave it a cute nickname. They called it the extra whiskers variety, which it's not a variety at all. It's just the feeder fingers that feed the coin blank into the striking chamber, scraped up a little bit deeper on that coin before it was struck, so it'll come out looking like parallel lines on there. Let's see, this one sold for $51.12. So that's more reason, if any, to actually look through your American Samoa coins. So you guys that live west of the Mississippi, now is your chance. I mean, this is obviously the first preliminary sale of such a coin. I'm sure additional finds of this will kind of erode at the value. So the next one might sell for 40 or 45 bucks, the next one 30. You get the big picture. Now here's just a solid 1996 Philadelphia minted Roosevelt dime. This one is broad struck. All right, so this one was struck without the aid of a collar to keep the coin in the striking chamber. So with no collar, what happens to the metal flow? It goes outwards. All right, kind of like, you know, smash down Play-Doh. You know, the material goes outwards, and you know, it's just a really pleasing high grade example. You know, it's not quite off center struck, but you know, this is a really nice coin. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, sold for $43.38, which I think is a really outstanding amount of money. This is a tougher date for any varieties. In contrast, we have quite the corroded 1989 Lincoln Memorial cent. This one is off center by about 55%, give or take. But you see all this whiteness on here. This is all corrosion of the zinc core. All right, so on an off-center struck copper coated zinc planchet, you're going to get quite a bit of pull away of that the copper plating on there because it's so thin. So it'll pull away, it'll expose the zinc, and then when you introduce it to any sort of like moisture or humidity, that's where things begin to kind of take a turn for the worse. So after a while, your coin will look like this. I mean, even still, it is a tougher date. It did sell for a little bit of money, $11.45. So, I mean, it's a matter of need rather than want here on this coin. I don't typically talk about these coins because they are plentiful and they are just worth nothing here in the US, unfortunately. But you come across a coin every so often that really raises an eyebrow. This is a 2004 J. That's, I guess, the mint mark of this one. 5-cent euro. And this one has, and I've seen these before, this has some pretty amazing doubling, as you can see here on these lines and stars. You can kind of see it to a little bit lesser degree here. You have quite a bit of doubling on this big 5. And then, of course, the text right here. So this thing is just wild. It's one of the strongest doubling outside of the 55 Lincoln cent. And, you know, when the rarity offsets the variety, I mean, that's where you kind of meet in the middle for pricing. This one sold for $58.49, but it looks like $1,000 coin. It just does. It's just, you know, not too many people collect the euros because this is, you know, I don't know. There's just not a lot of interest in these. You know, they grow on trees, and lots of them were made. Our next piece of paper money, we have a really cool looking front to back offset error. So this is a wet ink transfer. When these were printed and the sheets were stacked on top of each other, you're going to get the transfer of some of that wet ink onto the other sheet and to those notes. And it's always going to be reverse mirror image. So when you have the offset transfer of, say, the front inking on the reverse of this note, everything is going to be in reverse. All right, so you want to make sure that's the case. The front of the note is clean, and it shows you all of the circulation wear on there. So yeah, this one had definitely gone around the block a little bit. It's a 1988A $10 Federal Reserve note, and this one sold for $138.45, and that's 16 bids combined got to that level. Here's another lot. This time we got some Roosevelt dimes here, all off-center struck, and they all have dates. Whoa! So this lot right here is pretty special. The coins themselves are in such good shape. Lots of luster. They're all, I would say, mid-state condition, and this is an obvious kind of like wet dream scenario for a Roosevelt dime collector that's looking for the off-center strikes. We have an 88D, it looks like, an 88P, so that, you know, you get one of each mint mark, and then a 1980 Philadelphia right here. So there you go. Those are your 3 coins. So this one shouldn't have sold for cheap for sure. 11 bids altogether, and this one realized $75. Can't believe it took this while to talk about our first cut, but it's only appropriate that we talk about a 64 Denver. So we have another Denver coin for all you folks on the West Coast that's feeling left out in the error world, but we have one right here. As you can see, there's the cut die break here at the base of Lincoln's bust. Again, the wear and tear of the dies and the mid presses can't be understated. Things fall off, things break off. You know the big scenario with these. And it's the norm. So in this case, a piece of the die had fallen off and cracked off the off of there, and then when it's struck, this is how it translates onto the coin. Just a raised blob that will also have corresponding weakness on the reverse as well, because there's nothing to put pressure on that area to impress the reverse details. And 5 bids strong, we got $39 for this one here. So that's a good amount of money. CUDs always sell for a strong amount of money. This might be our last paper money of the week, but we have a $1 bill, 1974 series, and look at that third print. It is way misaligned to the right. Lots of overlapping between the first and third print, and that's kind of the attractiveness of this note. And ultimately, what ended up making this note sell for quite a bit of money. This week, this one sold for $177.50, and that's through 23 bids. The reverse of the note, very clean, but you can see just the circulation, the folded corners on there as well. So it's not a beauty queen. Oh, we're talking about another one of these again. 1999 wide AEM Lincoln set. People are looking for these in all grades. Now, this one right here has some staining and spotting issues. But you can see the obvious gap between the A&M in America. So these were produced with proof dies, or proof die on the reverse, and that's how we end up with this variety. These show up on 98s, 99s, and 2000s. The 1999 is the rarest out of the 3. And this one right here sold for $41, and that's through 11 bids altogether. This coin is not nice looking. 1986p Lincoln Memorial Cent that has a small little cut right here at the bottom of the coin. All right, so that's really all that contributes to the value of this coin. This one sold for $14.50. The CUD themselves, I've seen these sell for about $25-30, but the condition of the coin is not that great. Therefore, it offsets the overall value of this coin. And when you meet in the middle, you know, you're looking at like $15-20, which is where this one landed. Not your typical date to find for off-center struck coins. So this one right here is a popular one. It's a 52D Lincoln Wheat Cent. It's off-center by about 25-30%. It's in pretty decent shape. You got some nice mint red in the protected areas of the coin. The date around Lincoln's profile and in the letters. Same on the reverse. But a very tough date. So if someone's looking for this date and they want to strike a deal, they are going to pay a little bit of money for it. This one sold for $56.08, and that's with 13 total bids. Lots of action on that one. Another off-center struck coin. This time you could kind of tell what the date is. It's a 1986. There's just enough there to make that determination. It's off-center by about 15-20%, somewhere around there. And it is a Philadelphia coin. The coin is okay. It's in decent shape. Probably more of like an AU condition. It looks like it's circulated a little bit. I don't know how. You know, you figure you'd find this one and it would just stick out like a sore thumb. This one, ladies and gentlemen, sold for $55.50. And that is a collective of 20 bids to get to that level. It's always good to talk about one of these, 1995 doubled die obverse. So even on these semi kind of out of focus images, you can see the doubling on Liberty and in the motto, "In God We Trust." And that's your strongest bit of doubling. But if you needed more clarification on what this looks like, check out sites like coppercoins.com or doubleddie.com. But this is a very common date for this doubled die. I found a few of them myself, and I'm here on the West Coast, so that tells you a lot. This one is just in really nice shape, and it's also FS 101 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. This one sold for a $50 bill. And the final coin for the week is going to be a rim-clipped coin that you don't see that often on my show. And with good reason. There's just not a lot of them out there. So you guys have seen basic curved clipped coins. This one right here is just a straight clip. But even with straight clips or curved clips, they will generally mostly have the Blakesley effect, which is going to be a flattening of the opposite side rim, which is what you have here. If you don't have this, I would probably be a little bit more skeptical about the type of coin that it's advertised to be. But this is pretty nice. 1997 Philadelphia Washington quarter with such a huge clip cut off this thing. And it sold for a few bucks, $13.50 for this one. And that's with 9 bids combined. But all good things must come to an end, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to go ahead and do it for the Pocket Change Market Report midweek edition for September 1st. Welcome to fall, or pretty gosh darn close to it. Welcome to the fall season of numismatics. It has begun. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. As always, don't forget to like, dislike, if you don't like anything. Share the video, subscribe to it, my channel, if you haven't done so. All the extra support will go a long way. But Coinaholics, we are discovering together. Let me know what your favorite coin of the week is on this video. That's going to do it. I will see you guys next time. Happy hunting and best of luck. Take care.